Now, I'm sure that most of you who are learning of Elijah Muhammad, you now must think, who was this man really? We didn't like him so much when he was among us. Those of us that heard him and we didn't understand, it was kind of frightening the way he talked about white people, you know, and prophesied the doom of America. Now, beloved, on the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, from the making of the devil to the concept of God, to food, to the role of women, to the tragedy of the Malcolm era, what happened with Imam Ward-Din Muhammad, all the way to the modern times and the critics and what they have to say, the program of Elijah Muhammad, his position and where we see ourselves going in the future. That what Elijah Muhammad taught, I mean, it is the truth. The children represent something new, and they should not be saddled down with old hatreds. Therefore, if understanding and light is shed on the whole situation and it is opened and aired and analyzed, then maybe we can put it behind us and get on with the business of building a people. We must break down these barriers. Give me her name. Before you know it, you're all meeting in the same places. When you see each other, you rush into each other's arms, you embrace each other. You don't seem like you're strangers. You are a family. And this is what's driving the white man crazy. He don't want to see us recognizing each other as a family. It's over.
They tried to bury the man, but they didn't know he was a seed. Welcome to part 2 of After Difficulty Comes Ease, the message that America couldn't silence, the warning that empires fear, and the spiritual mirror that forces a people to see themselves, not as victims, but as gods in the making. If you missed part 1, go back, watch it, let it hit you like thunder. Because this isn't entertainment, it's a spiritual alarm clock. Minister Farrakhan laid bare the divine truth. That suffering is not a curse, it's a calling, and those who endure it righteously are being shaped for something far greater than comfort. They're being prepared for power. He further intensified his speech. Farrakhan doesn't just expose the forces that work against black liberation. He dissects the psychology, the systems, the food, the faith, and the families. He speaks not to coddle, but to cleanse. He is not interested in peace without justice, unity without truth, or progress without power. This is a message for the fearless, for those who are ready to shed old lies, cast off the mental chains, and walk boldly into a new reality. The world we knew is falling. A new one is rising, and in this hour you will learn. What they feared in Elijah Muhammad, they now dread in Farrakhan. Stay with us, because the food from heaven is still falling, and if you're hungry, this is your feast.
Brother won Louisiana last night. I listened to white folks announcing it this morning on television. Looked like they had lockjaw, you know. Trying to make excuses of the people didn't get out like they should have. So Jesse won. Man looked like he went cross-eyed for a minute. And can you imagine them white people? Can you imagine what they're thinking? The gall of this young man, Jesse Jackson. I love that brother so. Don't you? He's unusual, isn't he? He's different, isn't he? He's a new Jesse, isn't he? They don't know what to do with that new Jesse, do they? God said, I'm going to do a new thing in that day. Go ahead. They can't figure this thing out. too much for. You better believe it. Oh, brother. I need God to make me totally new. I don't want nothing left of the old. No. That's what the scripture means when it says that I die in order that he might live in me. See, we got to put this old world to death in us, that a new world could come to birth in us. It's that they don't have any power over, and it's that they are unable to handle. Now I'm going to conclude. Notice, Moses in the wilderness wanted manna to come down from heaven. I want you to think about this. Talking about food again. Listen well now. David says, "Thou spreadest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies." Jesus comes into the world, and notice his words. I am the bread of heaven. Well, that's a heavy word. Then he tells the people, as he's about to leave them, he says, take my body, eat it in remembrance of me. This is my blood. And likewise after supper, it says he took the cup and he told them, this is my blood that I shed for the remission of sins. And I think in some writings it says for the New Testament. Drink this as oft as you can in remembrance of me. Feed on me in your heart. Boy, this man is talking. And people are looking and they don't understand what he's doing. Feed? Hey, I ain't no cannibal. What's wrong with this man? You want me to eat his flesh? Drink his blood. Moses just told us that the blood of all things is unclean. You don't drink the blood of any animal. How then does this man want me to drink his blood? What is this? Now Jesus don't have but a few pints of blood. He don't have enough for everybody that believes to drink. And he don't have enough flesh, poor man. If we all wanted to eat a little of Jesus' flesh, we would eat him up in a short time. You know it doesn't mean that. It's beautiful, but it doesn't mean that. Look, Jesus goes away. Peter rises up. Peter's hungry. And this table or sheet comes down out of the sky for Peter. It's a vision. He looks at it, sees all kind of four-legged animals on this sheet. And he was told to eat it. And in the vision, he said, wait a minute. I can't eat them kind of things. That's unclean. And he's rebuked in the vision that what I have cleansed, past perfect tense or present perfect tense, what I have cleansed, you can eat. Peter is trying to figure out what it means. Some of my Christian brothers and sisters say it means you can eat anything. And then you lay into that pork chop. Lay into those brains, chitterlings, stinking up the house for days. They haven't even made an air refresher that can move the stench of chitlins. I'm glad you. Now you know. Excuse me. I didn't mean it that way. Just it came out that way. Forgive me, y'all, but it kind of smells. Here you are, bless your hearts. When I leave you today, some of you going home. To get into that kind of nastiness. And then you're going to say, well, it tastes good. There's a lot of things that taste good, but are not good for you. And the hog is one of those fellas. It's a nasty creature. One day I'd like to talk on it and tell you not only what it's made from, but why God permitted it to be made in the first place. It is not good for you to eat. I know you like the bacon. I know you like the ham. And let me tell you, I used to eat it up. So I'm not condemning you, because I loved it too. Every New Year's, my mother would cook a hog head. I used to see that ugly fella sitting in my kitchen. And my mother would make that hog head cheese, you know. We call it in the Caribbean souse meat.
Yes, sir.
Man, that thing used to taste so good. And when I became a Muslim and went home and told my mother I didn't eat that stuff, she climbed all over me. Boy, I raised you on this thing. She didn't understand. But let me tell you, brothers and sisters, when an animal is that filthy, that it'll eat anything and everything, and nothing makes it sick. That hog is used to clean out swamps sometimes with snakes. Snake lay on that hog, bite him good, sink the venom down, and the hog's still walking. That means that the poison of that animal is greater than the venom of a snake. It is a slow death for its eater. When you eat the hog, this is the truth. You think when you cook it at high temperature that you've killed the strychnine worm that's in it. So you say, well, we cooked it real good. Only in the South, they hang it up in a smokehouse to cure it. Anything you got to cure means it's sick. And if you couldn't cure it live, it's sure enough you can't cure it dead. And here you are, cooking it up now. And that thing got all them little strychnine worms in it. You eat that fella, you digest him, tastes good going down. After a while, that little worm activates and it starts moving in your intestines. works its way into joints and muscles, forming cysts. You start talking about arthritis. I wonder why I get this pain so.
That's right.
Doctor sometime will tell you, well, just leave off the pork. You go and tell him you got high blood pressure. First thing he asks you, what are you eating? Leave the pork alone until your pressure comes down. He won't tell you cut out the pork altogether because he wants you coming back to get a few more dollars from you. Your food is killing you. The food that you're eating is destroying your health and well-being. Okay? When that worm reaches the spinal cord, it travels right along that spinal cord into the brain. Once you get it up in the brain, the messenger says you will never get it out of your system. Takes a long time for the trichina worm to get out of your system. Brothers and sisters, food keeps you here. Food takes you away. Eat the best that your money can buy. Stay away from the poison animal, the pig. No meat is good for you at all. But if you must wean yourself away, start first by not eating hog. Don't do it. If you want to make a little test, get a little piece of hog. Put it under a glass and leave it there for a few days and see what you come back and find. You notice our eyes, they're not white, especially the men. Women's eyes are clearer because they have a natural system of cleansing their bodies once every 30 days, but poor you, brother. These eyes all yellow, you know, red. Just don't have a good color in the eye. It's this bad food, bad drink, taking you slowly away. When you eat hog, it slows down the mental process. It sounds the mental powers, and it robs you of your beauty appearance. You notice how Muslims kind of have a good look about them? You notice that? You know, we look different. And I know, you know, whether you are man or woman, when you look at Muslims, you see that clean look in our faces, our eyes kind of bright. It's not that we're any different from you. It's just the food that we eat makes us cleaner on the inside. You are beautiful people if you stop eating foods that damage your powers of thinking, and you think bad thoughts and eat bad foods, and you become a very ugly people. You don't want to be ugly, do you? These people telling you try this skin cream and that skin, you will have pretty skin. Try stop eating that bad food. Try fasting a little bit. Your skin will get so pretty. Your eyes will be so bright. People will ask you what kind of beauty treatment you're taking. And truth is the best beauty treatment that any people could receive. Now I think I can go home, let you go home. The food that Peter saw was not actual animals. It was human beings who were unclean. But God wanted Peter to stop hanging out, and so to speak, with the Jews, and to start going among the Gentiles who were called unclean, because God was getting the Gentiles ready to receive the message of Jesus Christ. So Peter started consuming the Gentiles. Consuming meaning making them a part of the body of Christ. That's what it means. Paul comes along and takes it up, and he becomes the great preacher or apostle to the Gentiles. Is that right? Okay. How does that translate into today? 1984. Muslims, bear with me now. Now, I am sure that most of you who are learning of Elijah Muhammad, you now must think, who was this man really? We didn't like him so much when he was among us. Those of us that heard him and we didn't understand, it was kind of frightening the way he talked about white people, you know, and prophesied the doom of America. Now, beloved, this coming Friday is not for the public, but God willing, I hope to do 10 to 14 hours straight of taping, videotaping. Scholars are coming in from around the country to question me on the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, from the making of the devil to the concept of God, to food, to the role of women, to the tragedy of the Malcolm era. What happened with Imam Wardeen Muhammad, all the way to the modern times and the critics and what they have to say. The program of Elijah Muhammad, his position, and where we see ourselves going in the future. There'll be scholars, great eminent scholars coming of religion, people that have watched the nation for years, and we're going to put this on tape because we know the press will never tell our story. The television will never show our truth. This is something we have to do ourselves, and if we have to pay for it, we will show it to the world hour after hour after we raise the money to put it before the world. Now, I say that to say that what Elijah Muhammad taught, I mean, it is the truth. This coming Friday, God willing, I want to go into the making of a devil. And right after that, I'm going to teach it on the radio. I hope that we will have sufficient time to show you why Elijah Muhammad used the language to white people, that they are devils. We don't want you to just go out calling names. That's ugly and it's childlike. But if God used that language, why did he use it? What message was he trying to say? Can white people escape that which he called them? We got to put it out there. There's a lot that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught that most of the people of the world have never heard nor reasoned with, if you did hear it. Now, beloved, putting it in a modern context, this man stood in our midst for 40 years, and there was much that he could have told us. We just were not ready. What about his domestic life? What about the things that Malcolm charged him with? Is there truth to it? If so, how should we look at it? The world has to know these things. You know why? We have got to put to rest the fighting among ourselves. We have to put it to rest. There are people in this audience who adore Malcolm and think well of Elijah Muhammad. And there are people in this audience who adore Elijah Muhammad, think well of Malcolm, and there's some who adore Malcolm and don't think anything of Elijah Muhammad. There are some who adore Elijah Muhammad and don't think anything of Malcolm X. How long should this controversy rage on? Must another generation of children come up wearing the scars of something that happened before they were born? Why not analyze it critically, appraise it, and let it be in the path that the children may go on?
We cannot build a new world with hearts still carrying the weight of old wars. As Minister Farrakhan speaks of Malcolm's daughter, of memories shared in youth, of pain buried beneath pride, it becomes clear. This is not just about politics, ideology, or leadership. This is about family. A wounded, scattered family torn by betrayal, slander, misunderstanding, and generational trauma. But what if healing wasn't just possible? What if it's divinely required? Farrakhan is not afraid to confront the baggage. He carries it willingly. Because Elijah Muhammad, misunderstood and maligned, also carried us. And now, Farrakhan stands not only to defend him, but to help us understand him, to humanize our history, to unshackle the narrative from rumor and resentment. When truth is embraced, doesn't divide, it heals. That's why this part of the message hits so deeply. It reminds us that if we are ever to rise, we must reconcile by looking it in the eye, not by denying the past. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm X, Dr. King, Jesse Jackson, and Imam Warith Deen Muhammad, they all wanted freedom for their people. Can we not honor them all? Can we not love without exception and lead without division? Because what God is building isn't a movement, it's a nation, and no nation stands if it's divided against itself. So when we sit at the same table, Muslim, Christian, Hebrew, Israelite, and recognize God in one another, the enemy trembles, because they fear what they cannot control, a unified, awakened people. This is what Farrakhan calls us to, not just unity of flesh, but unity of spirit. To let go of ego, to embrace the food from heaven, not just for ourselves, but for the healing of the whole house of Black America. A table has descended. Will you take your seat?
I was in Washington, D.C. a few weeks ago, and a tall, stately child, looked like a woman to me, came up to me as I was standing there and said, "Assalamu alaikum." I said, "Wa alaikum salam." She said, "Attila Shabazz here," and turned and walked away. I didn't recognize it was Malcolm's daughter. I said, "Attila," because when she was a baby, she was at my knee. And when my oldest daughter was a baby, she was at Malcolm's knee. And Malcolm taught my oldest daughter her ABCs and taught her her student enrollment. And I did a similar thing, not quite as much as Malcolm, with Attila. And there was the daughter of Malcolm within my reach. I wanted to grab her and embrace, not grab her. I wanted to embrace her. When I called, she put her finger up as if to say, "I've gone far enough." In words, there's still something between us. I said in my heart, you know, my children should be with Malcolm's children. Malcolm's children and Martin's children and my children and Jesse's children and Imam Wardeen's children and Herbert's children and all of the children should be together. children represent something new. And they should not be saddled down with old hatreds. Therefore, if understanding and light is shed on the whole situation and it is opened and aired and analyzed, then maybe we can put it behind us and get on with the business of building a people. We must break down these barriers. Don't you think we should? Yes, sir. I do. Beloved, Elijah Muhammad was a greatly misunderstood man. He is gone from us, and I feel it's my duty and my obligation to help others to understand him. Someone wrote, Farrakhan is carrying a lot of baggage, meaning carrying the baggage of what the people have said about Elijah Muhammad. That's very easy for me to carry, for he carried us. We were heavy weights on him, but he didn't mind that. So I don't mind carrying his teaching and his message. And whatever the critics say about him, I will carry that. But I do think now we need to understand and get it behind us so we can go on with the work of building a great people. So, I say, in conclusion, that the food that God has sent down is a food that will rest our hearts from the pain of division. Isn't it beautiful that Christians and Muslims and Hebrew Israelites can stand together, laugh together, eat together, work together, fight together for the glory of God? Isn't it wonderful that Hebrew Israelites and Muslims and Christians can sit down together at a common table? We have differences of view, but we handle it with such love and respect. The love is so overpowering, it makes our differences sink almost into nothingness. Now look, brothers and sisters, if those white Christians and Jews and Muslims can get along, we have to show them how it's done. We must not allow the old Jews, all Christians, all Muslims to put their hatreds on us. We are trying to bring in a new world. So we cannot carry the baggage of that old order. So when you sit down together, the Muslim sister, the Hebrew Israelite, your dress is a little different, but yet long and respectful. You look at each other, you admire each other's styles. Pretty soon you'll say, I like that. You know how women are. I like that. Pretty soon you make a dress like that. She may look at something that the Muslim sister has on and say, I like that. Before you know it, you won't be able to tell one community from another, brother and sister. Look at our Christian sisters and our Christian brothers. Here we are together. Nobody looking down at the other. We're looking at each other to learn from one another. You have much to teach us. We have much to share with you. And together, look how we learn. And before you know it, the Muslim Like I watched the Muslims when we were at T.L. Barrett's church. I peeped y'all. I know y'all peeped me too. Did you see me sitting there patting my feet? You see, we don't have music in the temple. You know, and I love music. So when I go to church, I mean, I just can't help myself. When they start to laying in there with that heavy music, I go to patting my foot, you know, and I have been very, you know, austere. But now, you know, brother, just break loose, you know.
Go ahead.
And I feel at home in the church. I'm getting something there that I don't get here.
Go ahead.
And when they come here, they get something here that they don't get there. Sisters start wrapping their heads. Other sisters said, what is that you got on? Why you do that? I like the way that looks. Before you know it, she wrapped her head. Where did you get your hair done? It looks so pretty. Oh, I got it done over here. Oh, that. Give me her name. Before you know it, you all meeting in the same places. When you see each other, you rush into each other's arms. You embrace each other. You don't seem like you're strangers. You are a family. And this is what's driving the white man crazy. He don't want to see us recognizing each other as a family. It's over. It's a new day. As Muslims, like the early Jews, we were kind of stuck on ourselves. Come on now. Yes, we have the truth. We are the righteous, you know. Look at that sister with that mini dress. Isn't she disgusting? Forgot how we used to put on the mini dress. I mean, not me. We acted kind of childlike. We had something very good, but we didn't sort of share it. We had a nice school. The discipline was wonderful. The curriculum was wonderful, but we didn't let others share it. This is not a criticism. We had to get our own thing together. But now, we can't do that anymore. I saw a table come down from heaven. And it had all kind of meat on it. And I was told to eat. Not that I personally was told. I'm giving you a picture of the scripture coming to life. Why we can't eat this? Why? These people, they eat pork. Why? That man was just snorting cocaine. I saw him, yes. I saw that sister with a beer bottle in her hand. I can't hang out with her. I mean, after all. But when the nation broke up, Allah helped us to see that we were no better than the people we condemned. So we went back and got the cocaine, didn't we, some of us? We went back and got the wine bottle and something else. So we don't have that old self-righteous posture anymore. I saw the table come down from heaven, and what God is saying, what I have cleansed, you have no right to turn it down. This is your family. Go out and embrace one another. So now the Muslims and Brother Farrakhan, I don't stay here. I come here every once in a while. The Muslims see me. I know you a little disappointed. Their brother don't stay home. But see, my home is wherever black people are. You understand? And that's my home. So don't look for me to be all up here with you. And you all here with me. That's our minister. God didn't send me just to you. See, I belong to our people. Therefore, wherever our people are, if the mountain won't come to Muhammad, what must Muhammad do? Go to the mountain, brother. Okay.
Sometimes what looks like destruction is divine protection in disguise. When the boat is broken, the child is taken, and the treasure is buried. Our human instinct is to cry out, "Why, God? Why would you allow this?" But Minister Farrakhan, channeling the wisdom of the Quran, flips the question on its head. What if your pain wasn't punishment but preparation? What if the detour was the only path to destiny? He reminds us of the parable of Moses and the wise man, where divine actions seemed cruel on the surface, but were in fact saving lives, preserving futures, and protecting legacy. This is the lens Farrakhan gives us to understand the journey of the Nation of Islam. The loss, the collapse, the rebirth. The old nation had a hole put in its side, not to sink it forever, but to hide it from the wicked king who would steal it. The child of the nation, once corrupted, was allowed to fall so that a new child, a resurrected nation, might rise in purity, strength, and clarity. And the treasure, it wasn't lost. It was hidden, waiting for the right generation to rise and reclaim it. This is not folklore. It's not fantasy. It's us. Farrakhan doesn't just teach theology. He teaches divine strategy. He's showing us that God moves differently. He plans for decades, centuries, eternities. And when you walk with him, you don't always get answers. You get assignments, so don't curse the detour, don't mourn the delay. The trial you thought would kill you might be the very thing saving your life. The wise man, the one God sends, doesn't just fix problems. He sees the future. And if we can walk beside him with trust, we'll see that nothing was ever lost. It was just being prepared. The treasure is still there. The boat is being rebuilt. And the nation is rising again. We'll see the full glory.
2 parables and we go. Right, all right. I ain't been home in so long I can't help myself.
Come on.
2 parables. Moses in the Quran in the 18th chapter was traveling in search of knowledge. You remember the parable? Moses was kind of trifling, according to the parable. The wise man told him, "Look, Moses, you can't, in words, hang out with me." Moses said, "Oh yeah, I can hang tough." This is a modern translation, of course. And Moses said, "Okay, man, walk with me. I'm almost willing to wager that you can't walk with me." So when they were walking, they came to a river, and a man had a boat, and the man was kind enough to take them across the river in his boat. When they got to the other side, the wise man put a hole in the boat, sunk the man's boat after the man let him use the boat to get across. Moses jumped in the man's face and said, "This is a terrible thing that you have done." The man says, "I told you, you wouldn't have patience with me." Oh, he said, yeah. But that isn't too cool what you did. So they walked on a little further. This is really modern translation. But I want you to get the principles, okay? Here's a woman and a husband, a man and a woman, they had a baby. And he meets the man, he meets the woman, he sees the baby. He causes the baby to die. The poor man and woman is grieving over the loss of the baby. Moses and the wise man keep walking. Moses jumped dead off, and the wise man says, "Now this is terrible. This is a grievous thing. You killed the woman's baby." He says, "I told you that you could not have patience with me. Now if you do this one more time, we'll have to part company." They went, and they were very, very hungry. And they went to a place, and they asked the person, I guess, "Do you have any food?" And the man wouldn't feed them. Wouldn't feed them. They went outside, and there was a wall torn down. And in the wall, there was a treasure. The wise man built the wall back up, hiding the treasure in the wall. Both of them hungry now. So Moses said, look, look, we hungry. The man got a broke down wall. Why didn't you tell the man, lay some food on us and we'll fix the wall? And then you see the treasure. And you didn't even take the treasure. You know what I mean? You build the wall back up. No, it sounds like us, don't it? Well, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, that's not a parable of Moses following the wise man, but that's a picture of a people who are given a messenger. And they don't have patience to wait for understanding of the things that the messenger is guided to do. And when God does a thing, he does it out of the comprehensiveness of his own knowledge. He has a consummate knowledge of the past, the present, and the future, and he makes a move today for tomorrow. You don't know tomorrow, hardly see today, not acquainted with yesterday. So you make a quick judgment and say, God, you're wrong, because you don't understand. You follow my point? All right, now tie that in with this verse of scripture, and we go. O you who believe, should any one of you turn back from his religion, then Allah will bring a people whom he loves and who love him. Humble towards believers, mighty against the disbelievers, striving hard in Allah's way, and not fearing the censure of any censurer. This is Allah's grace. He gives it to whom he pleases, and Allah is ample giving and knowing. Now we end. Don't you see, beloved, in your life and in mine, there are things that happen that you don't understand. And those things that happen in your personal life or in our national life that we don't understand, we do have a tendency to make a judgment. And sometimes we make such a harsh judgment, we turn away from a friend. We turn away from our mothers. We turn away from our fathers or our husbands or our wives because of something that came up that we don't understand. While if we could have just held on a little longer and had a little more patience, understanding might have come to show us the wisdom of God in what was done. Now, you see the picture. The wise man said to Moses, we must part company. And now I will explain to you why I did what I did. When the man took me across and you across in the boat, he was such a good man. And I knew that a wicked king was coming behind, confiscating the boats of the people. So I put a hole in the man's boat that the wicked king would not see it because it would be sunk. And when the wicked king would have passed over, that man could retrieve his boat, plug up the hole, and sail on. Would that you had patience with me. When I met this righteous couple who had a child, I saw that if the child were allowed to live, that child would grieve his righteous parents. So I took the life of that child in its youth. Yes, the parents were troubled, but they would have been more troubled had that child grown up to bring grief on the parents. But I also gave that parent, those parents, a righteous child that will make the parents happy. So the happiness and the joy of a righteous child will make them forget the loss of the child that they had. And now, when I got to that house and I saw the wall there with the treasure in the wall, you were thinking about your stomach. But I saw in the future 2 orphan boys that money was meant for. And I knew that if these in that house who were so nakedly had seen that treasure, they would have usurped it. So I built a wall around the treasure, knowing that at the proper time and under the right circumstances, those two orphan boys would find that wall and find that treasure. This is why you cannot have patience with me, because you see only today. You see only your need. You do not see what God sees. And so you must trust in God in order for God to guide you when you don't understand what He is doing. Now, the meaning of that. Look at the Nation of Islam. How we love the nation. Look at what Elijah Muhammad built up for black people. It was like a ship, an old ship of Zion that we were in. The ship never did get lost. A hole was put in it. And when a king would come that would not be righteous, confiscating the boats, I allowed this one to sink, because when the wicked king would have done his job, all we would have to do is bring it up from the bottom, put a hole, plug the hole back up, clean it up, and there would be your Nation of Islam, never having gone any place. But you couldn't have patience with me. And there was a righteous parent, two of them, and they had a child. And that child was called the Old Nation of Islam. That child had become corrupt. And I knew that if the child had lived, it would have grieved its righteous parents, Master Farad Muhammad and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So I allowed that child to die, knowing that I'm going to bring up a new child, a new nation that would give joy to those parents. And lastly, but not least, I know in order for that nation to survive, it's going to need money. And so I buried the treasure for that nation in a wall, and there were two little orphan boys, deprived of both their mother and their father, knowing they have a nation on their shoulders. But I have prepared a treasure for them in advance. But I hid it, and at the proper time, under the right circumstances, they'll go to the right wall. And there will be the money needed to go on and build the nation. You see, you couldn't have patience with me. And because you did not have patience, we must part company. And many of us parted company with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and his teachings. So the Quran says, O you who believe, should any one of you turn back from his religion, then Allah will bring a people whom He loves. When I hear Jesse Jackson, I hear a man who loves God. When I hear Pastor T.L. Barrett or Reverend Hardy or Reverend Franklin, I hear a man who loves God. So when you are consumed with the love of God, God loves you. Now look at what is to happen with that. Then you become humble toward believers. I have never seen in Asiel Ben Israel the power of his ability to wage war. He has never seen that power in me, because when we meet each other, we're too busy kissing, hugging. I don't mean it in no. No, I don't mean it in that way. When we embrace each other with love, we are humble toward each other, because it is not necessary for us to show forth power with one another. When I meet you, I feel honest and truth, just like a little worm. I feel so small. I don't feel like no big shot because I'm in the presence of believing people. When you saw me on Nightline, you saw a different kind of man then. That's a different kind of man. You saw a man ready to go to war then. Well, I don't have to show you that because you're a believer in God. I'm facing the enemies of God now. Then you see coming out of a lamb, a lion. Why? Because I'm humble to the believer. That's right. But I will be mighty. God, and God loves me. And so the scripture says of us, we strive hard in God's way. And look now, and we don't fear the censure of any censurer. And it's true. I listen and I look at the things that they say about me, and I laugh. I tell you the truth, the best laughs that I have had in the last 7 years is reading the cartoons that white folk have put in the paper with respect to Reverend Jackson and myself. They had a cartoon of me. I was like a bulldog in this cartoon. And I had my mouth open and it was red and livid and saliva was coming down from my teeth, you know. And I had a little bow tie on, you know. And Jesse had the bulldog boy and he was trying to hold the dog, but the dog was about to eat up the press. The press was sitting in a chair, shaking. When I read that, I just laughed. They had another cartoon of Reverend Jackson and myself. We were hugging each other up, you know. He had his arm around me and I had my arm around him. And he was holding up a trophy. You know, it was around the time of the Oscars. He was the #1 actor, you know what I mean? Performer. And I was holding mine up for the best supporting actor. Then they had another one. Yeah, they had a little sign on top of my trophy saying, "Vote for Jesse or else." And they had another one. Farrakhan looks bigger than life. I mean, a man with huge shoulders. Big bow tie stretched across. And a white man is coming out of the polling booth. And my hand is behind my back, you know. But I look huge and I say to him, "Oh, and by the way, who did you vote for?" Man says, did you happen to vote for Jesse? Nah. I voted for Mondale. And the next thing you see me with a scimitar, and I had just lopped off this man's head. You see his head tumbling off. Farrakhan killed him because he didn't vote for Jesse. Then they had another one. Brother Farrakhan, he looking huge again, you know what I mean? Well, this is the way they see a man of truth. They see me looking huge. All the men around me looking huge, you know? And they have a sign on here saying, "Ayatollah Farrakhan. Vote for Jesse or else." Now, what they're saying, see, they don't realize what they're saying. The wise do. Ayatollah Farrakhan, the word Ayatollah means, ayat means a sign. Ayatollah means a sign of Allah. This man here is standing behind the rostrum, they're saying, is a sign of God. Be careful. You'll lose your head over him. See, the wise see it different, but the funniest one of all They have me in this paper. I have a big sign on here saying, "Hi, I'm Louis Farrakhan." And then they have my mouth opened up, looked like a cannon, long out here like this. This is my mouth. And smoke is coming out of my mouth, meaning I had just blew somebody away, And Jesse with his hand behind, one hand behind his back and his other hand in the pocket like this, and said, and we'll go on now to the next question. Now, beloved, I've really laughed heartily. But I want to say as I leave you that God has fixed it so for us that we're not afraid of their disapproval of us as long as we know that we are right. And because we are not afraid of their disapproval anymore, they become afraid of ours. You are a new generation. You represent a new day, a new world order. So lift up your heads and gird up your loins, for a food is coming down from heaven that will ease our hearts and make us to know that what we learned from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, it is the truth. Remember, after difficulty comes ease. And when you go through your trials and you go through your tribulations, don't curse God no matter how difficult it is. Say, I'm from you. You are my patron. And whatever misfortune happens to be my lot in life, I will take the bitter with the sweet. I will take the joy with the sorrow. I will take the pain with the pleasure, knowing that it is you who are fashioning me. And I must come to you by the same way that you came to yourself. God bless you and keep you. Thank you for listening. Assalamu alaikum.
By now you should have seen the signs. You've heard the message, felt the weight of it, and watched as Minister Farrakhan laid bare the truth the world tried to bury. But this is more than the truth. It's transformation. Because once your eyes are opened, they cannot be closed again. Farrakhan doesn't speak to entertain. He speaks to awaken, to confront the enemy outside and the one within. The food that comes from heaven isn't for your stomach, it's for your soul. It clears your mind, it sharpens your spirit, it reveals your divine assignment. And what is that assignment? To rise, to build, to unify, not just as black people, but as a divine nation. To cast off the lies we've been fed for centuries and eat the truth that sets us free. To walk through this life no longer afraid of judgment, rejection, or even death. Because now we know we were born for this. The world is trembling because a new people are forming. A people no longer ashamed of their roots. A people no longer bowing to systems that hate them. A people who recognizes God in each other and themselves. You are not a mistake. You are a sign. You are the proof that God has not abandoned us. And as long as we remember who we are and whose we are, nothing, no system, no enemy, no weapon can stop us. Because we've seen the worst,